Every school should adopt it, and every school should bring in collaboration inside the class. Peer learning is going to be definitely the best form of learning now. Every child has its own style of learning. Learning increases when you share. Success only comes then when you have got a vision for yourself. Take your vision as your mission.
Hello and welcome to Great Principles. I'm your host Seema Chhoriya. Here we are today in the most changing world. And as we embrace tech futures, how and what we teach in our education system will also be reshaped to keep up to date with the growing demands of 21st century. Today I have my very inspired educator, Mrs. Harmeet Kaur. She is principal of Nankan Sahib Public School, Ludhiana, Punjab, and she would be discussing with us the future of learning and teaching. Please join me in welcoming Harmeet ma'am. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am. I'm really excited to have you with me today.
Thank you, Seema. It's been a pleasure to be here on your platform on Great Principles. And indeed, the topic which you have selected today is really very thought provoking, and we really need to work on this. All the schools need to jointly work on how to, handle the children of the 21st century first, and especially post COVID.
Very true, ma'am. So, before we dive into our today's very interesting topic, I think my viewers would like to know a little more about you. What has been your educational journey? What made you choose this career? And what were some challenges and opportunities there for?
Look, Seema, I am from a family of teachers. My dad was a principal. All my, out of four siblings, three of my brother sisters were teachers, and though they are now not into teaching right now, but then i I take this pride in saying that my father was a principal, so in the family I became a principal, and that too at a very young age. I was just 32 when I became the principal. I was just 22 when I became a teacher. I had to give my final examinations for my post graduation in the month of May, and I joined in April. Uh, we have a GRD Academy here, Guru Ramdas Academy. So that was my first school. And somehow, Seema, from the very beginning, it has been in my genes probably. Right from my childhood only, I wanted to become a teacher. And I always used to say that I would love to become a teacher. Teaching was a passion, is a passion. Even today is a passion for me. Today, even after having administrative experience of almost 19 years and total teaching experience of 29 years, I still teach in my classes. I go to plus one, plus two. I teach English. English is my subject, and I love teaching.
So, hailing from family of educators, do have a lot of responsibilities. Also, actually, when you grow up, you are looked upon. Acha, she is the daughter or son of so and so teacher, and you have different kind of expectations from you. So, had it been any such scenarios with you too?
Look, Seema, we have been like in our family, we used to talk of administration on dining tables. Dad used to discuss everything with us. It was sort of a unconditional learning happening every day. We used to discuss general knowledge. We used to discuss administration. We used to discuss certain cases, coming up every day. So it was a sort of unconditional learning happening at a very young age. And from that time onwards, something was ingrained in you that this is what I want to become in my life. I want to change lives if I can be. There was very something very interesting. He says, my dad used to say, on the day of judgment, when the God is going to ask, what have you done? At least he says we will be standing in front of the God with a head held high, that we taught children throughout our life. So that thing, went very down, deep down into my this thing, that yes, we are into a field where probably God has selected us to be sitting where we can make a change, we can make lives. And this is what we have been doing. My
Right.
best period
So
my best
yeah.
period even today in the morning is my morning assembly, when I have eye to eye contact with my children, and I keep telling them something good, something motivational, and I keep telling them something good stories, and I always tell them, I would be asking you every day what good you have done today. One
Absolutely.
good deed in molding the minds, young minds, you mold them. At least we can shift the focus from so much of negativity around after COVID, where people started saying, no, don't have faith on anybody. Children were trained in such a way, you're not supposed to be trusting anyone. I think the world moves on trust. So we have to rebuild that values, because value system was one thing that crashed during COVID.
Right.
I asked the parents, I said, look, right under your nose, before the COVID, everybody expected the schools to make holistic personalities, the schools to make children honest, the schools to make. I said, what did you teach? You were given the children for a year. What did the parents teach the children? Dishonesty, cheating right under their nose on the online testing. I said, what have you made of your children? So that was a question, Now children also realize this thing. Now bringing them back, our teachers had to put probably more than twice the efforts to bring them back into the classrooms. So these are the
Absolutely,
challenges.
ma'am. Actually, some very thought provoking things you have brought in front of all our us parents, that what example you are setting. It's okay to cheat, it's okay to lie. Because I'm sure, that during COVID, when everyone was giving an online examination, almost every child was securing out of marks. So it was really
And,
surprising.
and surprisingly, none of the parents said that this thing is wrong.
Yeah. So, yeah, many brows were not raised about it. Otherwise, for every small thing, with the kind of, see, it's good to take interest in your child's studies, but I think,
Ah,
there should be respect for what school and teachers are doing. And somewhere, parents fail there and they put a lot of burden of expectations that we are giving the child for, 15 years to you, you have to do it. But ultimately, something comes from home, something comes from parents. So values need to be taught there, and if you only don't respect what school wants to, how will child follow? So, and I really love the point where you mentioned that when you stand in front of the god, that your god mentioned that we taught children. So I think that is the reason that this profession is called a service. You are doing a
ah.
service to human life, you are educating them. So such a beautiful thought, and I'm sure today every educator would be feeling so proud that they are into this beautiful journey and doing something good. So I'm keeping this interesting conversation intact. You mentioned that how during COVID, that children, it was difficult for schools to get children back to classroom. Here, ma'am, I would like to ask you that that when children went online, there had been a drastic shift in teaching methodology, in the teaching pedagogy. So how does this shift has impacted the future of teaching styles also?
Seema, one thing is very clear, that during COVID, the type of advancement that happened, suddenly shifting to Zoom classes and Google Meet and everything, we had never thought of that the systems are going to adapt to it so quickly. And I'm thankful to all my teachers, those who did it in a week. Not even a week we took. Immediately everything was shifted on, because there was no option. It is the need driven, there was a need, so we all changed. We brought that thing. The advancement which would have happened in the coming next 2, 3, or 5 years maximum, happened within a month, within weeks, I would say that. And just
Right.
imagine a teacher who is facing an invisible audience in the form of parents sitting and evaluating them, the elders sitting and evaluating them. It was a hell lot of tough job for the teachers to stand and then teach to the children, those who are not physically present. Virtual classrooms, to take classes during the virtual sessions is not an easy thing, where the parents started evaluating, the parents started pointing out, no ma'am, it should have been like this. Normally a person loses confidence, but the teachers did their job so wonderfully well. And it was like, we really appreciated our teachers, that you did it and you made it, and you made it a success also. So that was the biggest challenge. And the second things, what saved our system, like in my school, what saved was, like, from the past 4, 5 years, we are trying to bring in collaboration inside the classrooms, where the students should be collaborating with each other. Now, that is the punchline for the coming. Now, the NEP also talks of collaboration. Entire system talks of collaboration, where we need to teach the children how to collaborate and learn. So this is how, what my children had done was, we had already had the group leaders, uh, you know brilliant 5 6 students from the class, the toppers 5 6 were selected as group leaders. They were given, each student, each group leader was given two average, two below average, two above average children, a group of 6 7 students to mentor. So they become their mentors. Now what happened during the COVID was these groups became active. They took the responsibility of teaching those 6 7 students, because one student can do it. So this is how we kept that connect. This is how the students kept on learning. And even now, post COVID, also, even now in physical classrooms, also, my group leaders are playing a wonderful role where at least we are teaching them what is collaboration, how learning can happen easily when a peer is learning from a peer. From a
Yeah.
level of a teacher he may not be able to understand, but from the level of a peer they are easily able to understand. And then I take personally the meeting of the group leaders and I tell them, I said, you need to make sure that all the children in your group score well, they complete their work. You just have to check their notebooks, their notes should be complete, share the notes, give them that support, and let's bring them into the mainstream. And believe me, it is almost 100% my group leaders are doing a wonderful job. And this is what I feel, that every school should adopt it, and every school should bring in collaboration inside the classroom. And I told my teachers also separately in the teacher meeting, I said, look, we are digital immigrants, children are digital natives. They will be
Absolutely.
always, they will be always ahead of us. For us technology still is a hitch, which is not for the children. So we need to, even the teachers need to collaborate and empower the learners. Let's learn together.
Absolutely. I
And
think
this is what is going to actually bring results in the coming times.
certainly, ma'am, and it is backed by a research that peer learning is the most
Is
effective
the
form
best.
of learning. And you are,
Yes,
you have practically applied it and you're seeing the results. So, I'm sure that this is the model which needs to be practiced by all the schools. So, what kind of pedagogical type we will name this? One was earlier, it was teacher centered, then learner centered, learning center. So, I think a new pedagogy will be formed around it also, right, ma'am?
exactly. It has to be. Now we have coined so many words, hybrid learning, blended learning, this
Yeah,
learning.
yeah.
This is all, new terminologies always coined, with the period of time. So even this is going to come up. Peer learning is going to be definitely the best form of learning now. And in the coming times, every child has its own style of learning now. It has become
Right.
more of an individualistic approach now. We cannot have a collective approach like we used to have. The class collectively, the teacher was teaching the same. Okay. Now the trends have changed, and with the changing time, even the teachers and our system of delivery should change, which has to be
But ma'am,
individualistic.
now we are seeing that the role of teacher has changed drastically already. Now,
Yes,
a child is not dependent on teacher to learn. There is information available. So,
yes.
how this new role and what would be the new methodology that a teacher needs to adapt so that she can address the individualized learning? I would like to understand that from you.
Look, when you have an eye contact, now what is an eye contact? The teacher having an eye contact with the students. Now, I did a survey in my classrooms in plus one, plus two. I asked the children, I said, which form of learning do you find is the best form of learning? Was it during the COVID, the online system, or it is the offline system? You won't believe 100% children, almost 100% said, ma'am, offline. I said, why? Why do you want to go in for offline? And why not online, or why not blended? Why not, hybrid system where both the things can go together? They said, ma'am, in the online system what happens is we tend to become relaxed. Looking at the screen is does not give us that much of, satisfaction that we are learning as a physically the teacher having an eye contact with us. That touch, that pat given on the back, well done, you did good, hand holding of the children. So this is, nothing can replace all these things. And more than that, look, you talk of unity, we talk of, peer, this thing, not learning exactly, but then the children mixing up with each other, the variety of children coming up, sitting under one with a uniform. Initially though, everybody felt no, uniform was a burden for us. Now everybody feels no, ma'am, we are happy with the friends together, learning together, sitting in the classroom,
Right.
interact, physically interacting. Now they are fed up with the online interactions. So they want physical classrooms back, because it is not, we are not teaching them how to read and write. Education has got a far wider scope, where we are
Absolutely.
making them, absolutely, we are trying to make them holistic personalities, where their personality development happens. Can online system actually work on their personality? No. What is required in the industry, what is required in the country today is that we need to have vocal children. We need to have people,
Right.
those who know and they are able to express themselves also, those who can mix up with each other, those who can blend themselves. Otherwise we will have a stubborn generation, where they are not going to be flexible in their approaches. Flexibility the school system
And
teaches them.
and then how will you even,
Otherwise,
inculcate the habits
otherwise
of teamwork?
teamwork is taught here only, na? Otherwise all children are
Yeah.
single. Most of the children are single child. They don't know,
Yeah.
they have never shared anything. They don't know what is sharing. When I
Right.
started with this group system, Seema, I'm telling you, this is the first problem that came with my toppers. Was every topper used to say, I'm not going to share my notes with anybody. We had to convince them that learning increases when you share.
Sure.
You are going to
Yeah.
learn more when you are going to teach. Come on a teaching mode. We are giving you a chance to become a teacher. Become one. And they did it. And they did it. And this is how slowly we broke that ice.
Right. Here I definitely, I'm not differing with you that role of a teacher is essential physically, but given the fact that we have more number of students than teachers, and especially in rural section where we don't have quality teachers, don't you think that there, even the virtual learning, will help children, and even, the teachers, whether she's present virtually, she'll be able to deliver lectures to more and more people, and it would benefit.
See, na, absolutely. Absolutely. I go in for a hybrid system where both the systems should be taken into consideration. Yes, we cannot totally ignore the material which is available on YouTube, the lectures which are available on other platforms, multimedia and all. So I'm not denying that. We That can be really, really very useful. Now the government is also investing a lot on digital content, trying to touch. But the problem coming up from the rural areas is not the content problem, it is the connectivity problem. We still need to develop that infrastructure at our rural sections, where at least that availability is made, that should be our priority, that technology should be made available to those children.
Right.
Internet still is a hitch.
That's true.
So
And
instead of like the government investing so much on the digital content, they should be investing equally on the infrastructure also. Provide that infrastructure, at least in the person sitting in the remote corner of the country can also have an access to the best education which is happening around, and definitely it is going to really work wonders.
yeah, so true. It is going to solve all the problems that we talk about, making it
Yes.
more affordable, accessible, and equitable. Every child is
Yes.
learning through same content. If that video can go to the remotest corner of a country, and everyone can learn through that platform. So, ma'am, here there is one more question that arises. We have seen how technology changed everything in past 5 years. Now if we imagine the scenario of next 10 years with the artificial intelligence and virtual reality things happening, there'll be soon a time when they can see the teacher in the electronic medium in front of them. So here, with all these advancement, how will teacher impart values to students, and how should that framework start from today, so that that values are so imbibed in the child that they talk values with each other also? How would you be go with it?
Look, Seema, no matter how much the advancement may happen, but let me tell you one thing. There is still no machine which can hold the child and make him write the first letter. It is the human touch. Pre-primaries, primaries, I don't think so. No technology can take over that. You cannot even think of having that thing. Once, if we make strong bases of our children, like till class grade 5 or 6, we say the base of the child is set during that time. If we work hard on our pre-primary and the primary, I think the foundation, if it is strong, no matter what happens, no matter how many earthquakes come, the building will survive. The
So
value system taught right from the primary, pre-primary, and instilling those values of sharing, caring, loving each other, helping each other. If we are able to imbibe those in our children, we are a success. Learning will automatically happen. The first letter, even today, in spite of so much of advancement talking of, we still have not generated any system where the child is, hand holding of the child is being done. That still humans are only doing it, and they'll keep on doing it. There is no substitute for that. Home learning, yes, is going to be the trend in the coming times. You can sit at home and learn, and then you can, share your learning also through various platforms. That will not be once you make the children able to read and write, if they are able to understand, comprehend, and they are able to write on their own, our job is done. Knowledge can be gathered at any stage. That is not a problem. But what the value system which you are talking of, yes, we need to catch them, and there is no other institution which can ever do it. It is the responsibility of the schools now, because somewhere our joint family system broke up. Because of that, now that we have got nuclear families, parents don't have time for the children. So the responsibility of the schools have increased over a period of time. And this is what we need to, cope up with through live classrooms only. Still, the
very
small
agree with you, ma'am. That working at the core age is something very important, because few things which we do in our childhood as toddlers go a long way with us. That is the time when we actually develop our character, who we are, and in which direction we are going to lead. So I think ma'am very rightly pointed out that the onus lies on us as educators and parents to ensure that the formative years are built right. So very beautifully expressed by ma'am that if the building is firm, not even an earthquake can collapse it. So I think that sums it all. So ma'am, now we will move ahead with our rapid fire round. You need to answer me in one word or a single sentence would also do. Okay. So my first question goes to you. See ma'am, we know that you hail from a family of educators, and that has been always the first choice. But if not an educator, what you would have been?
I would have been a bureaucrat then.
All right. Okay. So what do you do in your recreational time?
I read, I cook, I travel, I love traveling.
Okay, so if I ask you which is your favorite book and author, what would be your answer?
Albert Camus, The Fall.
Okay, one advice for our dear parents, millennial parents, of course.
Advises: teach honesty to the children. They have,
And
there is being good to others, that value of teaching goodness. Do good. This is what is required in our society, and we need to be more tolerant beings. Tolerance is one thing which we need to teach our children.
top five ingredients of a successful school.
First is passion for teaching. Teachers should have passion for teaching. Loving attitudes, taking the children as their own. Then person should have a vision. Where do they want to see themselves in the next 5 years? Success only comes then when you have got a vision for yourself. And then take your vision as your mission. That should be the mission, collectively going together is one thing which we, because school is one system where we sail and sing together. One person cannot do it. So it has to be a team effort, teamwork. So we encourage teamwork in our schools. So these are the strengths, where we need to really focus on.
One thing which we need to teach our children to be a global citizen.
Tolerance.
So correct, so it fits so very well. Wonderfully answered our rapid fire round, ma'am. So, ma'am, it was great to hear you on our show. There is so much, so many things that we touched upon, so many topics that we discussed. And one thing is very, very clear that ma'am has from our this episode has come out is whatever happens, the role of teachers is always going to be very, very crucial in imbibing the values and ultimately developing a citizen, a global citizen. So that is something very, very crucial, and it's always going to stay. And I hope many of us with NEP coming and making more teaching profession more powerful, I wish to see more passionate teachers in this community. And I hope, and I can see that passion in Harmeet ma'am. So ma'am, I'm sure leaders like you would make more great passionate leaders in turn. So thank you so much, ma'am. It was really wonderful to hear you.
Thank you, Seema. Thank you. It was wonderful talking to you, and thank you to the your platform, Great Principles, those who have given me this opportunity to share my views. Definitely, there is no replacement for teachers, and nothing can replace a physical classroom. So let's be very clear about it. We should not have doubts about this thing. No fear. People have got certain this thing that I don't know what is going to happen the next. Nothing is going to happen. Schools are going to survive like this only, because we know at the level we are catering to the children. Why did NEP start giving us instructions right from as young as 3 year old? Now the formal
Right.
education now begins at the age of 3.
Yeah.
That is how that was the need felt. We need to give the guidelines right from the very beginning, catching them as young as possible, to in order to make them what you called as global citizens, more tolerant citizens. We need to teach them values there. Nothing can replace a teacher. So let us all join hands together, and let's make this world a beautiful place to live in, where we can see tolerance amongst our young generations. And we need to imbibe those strong values, the sense of attachment to their country, patriotism, love for their country, and love for what they do.
Wow. So, ma'am has very beautifully summed up the entire episode in 2 lines, and that is the power of a teacher. Only they can do this. So, it was really great to hear you, ma'am. So, to all my dear viewers, stay tuned till we get to you another brilliant educator on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you.